The latest film from acclaimed director Richard Linklater features one of the hot up-and-coming stars of the day, Glen Powell. You may have seen him in Top Gun Maverick or the rom-com Anyone But You earlier this year. Let's talk about Hitman on Netflix. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Netflix film Hitman. This is streaming right now, and it's kind of unfortunate. This might have been nicer to see in a theater with a big crowd of people, but as it is, it did get a very minimal theatrical release, in a couple of cities for a week or two. But really, the main point of this movie is to be on Netflix, and that is what it is. But Richard Linklater, obviously, very, very acclaimed director, back from the Dazed and Confused days of the early 90s, and he brought us the Before trilogy, School of Rock, very popular Jack Black film. He's done just about every sort of genre that there is, but has he tackled yet an action romantic comedy? No, not until now, I don't think. And that is what Hitman is. So we're going to launch into all of this here in just a moment. First, though, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews here on the channel, and just about every day, something new goes up. So there's always a lot to check out. Please consider subscribing, hit that like button, and of course, comment below. All that stuff helps the channel out tremendously. All right, so Glen Powell is the star of this. And of course, I call him the hot up-and-coming Glen Powell. Top Gun Maverick, I think, has maybe solidified his star power, and then that train kept rolling with the very popular Anyone But You. I first took notice of him as Scott Glenn in one of my favorite movies, Hidden Figures, but that same year he also was on Scream Queens on Fox, which I watched. So, a few things where he was really sort of just starting out, but now he is really, I think, one to watch. He has, his hands in every genre, much like Richard Linklater. Obviously, Top Gun Maverick, more of a, rah-rah action movie in the very classic sense. And then he, dabbed with the horror in Scream Queens. And now he's doing this rom-com thing. This one, more action-oriented than Anyone But You, but still in the romance department. And Richard Linklater, listen, is one of my favorite directors. He doesn't really get talked about in the conversation. I always think like, oh yeah, Steven Spielberg or Tarantino. But really, I don't think I've seen a Linklater movie that is less than probably a B. I think all of his movies are in that high grade range, and he's had a couple of A pluses as well, including Boyhood. But this was based on a magazine article, also called Hitman, by Skip Hollandsworth. And that's a name I was not familiar with, but I looked him up, and sure enough, he and Linklater have collaborated before on a movie called Bernie, which was also based on one of Hollandsworth's articles. He did not have anything to do with the writing of this film. In fact, the screenplay was by Linklater and Glen Powell. So they are the ones who adapted this. And it's about this New Orleans police contractor who is actually a teacher by day, but he poses as a hitman in his spare time, and he tries to save a woman in need and ends up falling for her as one of his jobs. And we have Retta here, very wonderful Retta from Parks and Recreation and Good Girls, Austin Emilio, and then the female in question, the love interest, played by Adria Arjona, who I'm unfamiliar with, but she was in Good Omens and the horrible, horrible Morbius. So I've seen her in a couple of things, but, maybe not as memorable as some of the other characters from Good Omens, and Morbius is just forgettable altogether. So for me, this is a big step up for her career. But look, this movie is exactly what I wanted to see in a theater with a big crowd. I love movies like this where there's a lot of humorous moments, and the action is pretty fun as well. There's, maybe some dramatic stakes and some dramatic tension too. This movie is trying to do a lot, and I feel like it succeeds around every corner. And a big part of that is that charisma of Glen Powell. Now, part of his job with the police as this sort of fake hitman is putting on different accents, different dialects, different looks, and is the boring college professor going to nail that? No, probably not. But Glen Powell certainly can. And so in this movie, we will suspend the disbelief and say, yes, this guy is very adept at this. And he is funny. Of course, he's charming. We know that about Glen Powell already. But I did not know until moments ago when I looked it up that he co-wrote this script. So there's another talent, I think, maybe in the future for Powell is, screenwriting, because this movie is very funny. The action, I think, is great, and the love story, I think, is interesting. These people are not necessarily, the most appropriate people, because, of course, she originally wants to contract him to kill her abusive husband. So, there's maybe some questionable things there, but of course, okay, if she's being abused, then perhaps we can get behind this instance and sort of back her from there, and then we meet the husband, and some things sort of snowball from there, and maybe not everything is what it seems on the surface, throwing some additional wrinkles into the mix. But look, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think Linklater has given us anything that is less than a B. Now, I have not seen all of his movies, I will say that, but, like A Scanner Darkly, that was something that was very, very unique at the time, the rotoscoping, technology or whatever, which he used again a couple of years ago, also for Netflix, for Apollo 10.5, another Jack Black creation, actually. So he's collaborated with Jack Black almost as much as Ethan Hawke, I suppose. But, of course, look, the Before trilogy stands on its own, but all of these are kind of different genres. Dazed and Confused is a stoner comedy. And I guess, sure, there's a little romance in there, but I wouldn't call it a rom-com, certainly. That's more straight ahead than, Bernie's a very dark comedy. Scanner Darkly is just kind of dark, and action-oriented, sci-fi a little bit, if I'm remembering. So, yeah, this is another win for Linklater in the genre column, because I don't think this is one he's tackled yet, and everything really fires on all cylinders here. This is easily the best comedy of the year. Not that we've had a ton yet, but this is a winner for me. I really teetered on this one with an A minus, but I can't really find much fault in it. I think it really, really, it works at everything it's trying to do. And Glen Powell's star power just oozes off of that screen, and he's got great chemistry with the romantic lead as well. So, when all is said and done, you know what? This is one of the best films, I think, of the year so far. I'm going to leave Hitman with an A, and you can see this now on Netflix. All right, thank you so much for watching Dave Reviews It. I'll see you next time. Bye.